So Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Sunday Bhagavatam class on the 4th of July. This is Moksha Day, Independence Day. And of course, for the devotees, every day is Independence Day because every day we follow Prabhupada's wonderful Krishna conscious program, we can liberate ourselves every day. So for us, every day is Independence Day, but anyway, it's may I just mention, it's not in a sense insignificant for devotees that today is Independence Day, political Independence Day in America, because it was really the independence of America that had a tremendous effect, very powerful effect on Europe, and really opened the way for complete religious freedom in the Western world. And then in walks Prabhupada and the Hare Krishna movement. So what we may take for granted, that sure, we can go out, we can chant in the street, we can sell books, we can preach to people, we can open temples. It wasn't like that before. I mean, if you look at the history of Europe, it was not like that for a very long time. And so Independence Day, the 4th of July, really historically is very important for the spread of Krishna consciousness. I thought I'd just mention that. And of course, following the American Revolution, France did their revolution, which was, to say the least, quite messy. And but still, it did change the world, and now we have the freedom to preach. So let's go to the class today. We're beginning a new chapter, chapter 12 of the first canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Vasudeva Bhagavan, first verse, Sri Shonaka Uvacha. So Shonaka speaking, not Sutta. Ashwatam Nopa Sarstena Brahma Shirshnodu Tejasa Uttaraya Hato Garbhak Ishena Jivitak Punaha. So Sri Shonaka said, he's going to speak for a while now, Ashwatamna, by Ashwatama, Upasarstena, released, Brahma Shirshna. So by the, what we call the, what do they call it? The Brahmastra, devotees call it. So by this Brahma weapon, and Brahma Shirsha means like the head, the Brahma head weapon, or the Veda head weapon. So by this weapon, Brahmastra, which was released by Ashwatthama, and a weapon which had Uru Tejasa, which had terrible power, fiery power, Uttaraya Hato Garbha, the embryo of Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu. So the womb of Uttara was slain, or the embryo was slain, was cut down. But Ishena, by the Lord, Ajivita, he was brought to life, Punaha, again. So that's what the verse literally says. Sri Sonaka Uvacha, the embryo of Uttara was slain by the terrible power of the Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama, but that embryo was brought to life again by the Lord. So that's a very literal translation. So now, Prabhupada says, the sage Shonaka said, the womb of Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parikshit, was spoiled by the dreadful and invincible Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama, but Maharaj Parikshit was saved by the Supreme Lord. So next text, Tasya Janma Mahabudhe. So this chapter is really going to be about Parikshit Maharaj, and so it begins by explaining his miraculous survival when Krishna himself, Vishnu, went into the womb and brought him back to life after he was actually killed by the weapon of Ashwatthama. So, Tasya Janma Mahavudhe Karmani cha Mahatmanaha Nidhanam cha Jataiva Seat Sapretya Gatavanjata. So this is not yet a complete sentence, but that's okay. I'll translate it. There's not really an independent clause here, but don't worry about that. So literally, Tasya Janma, his birth, Tasya Janma, his meaning of, he of great intelligence, Mahabuddhi. So Mahabuddhi, the birth of he who had great intelligence, and the birth, karmanicha, and activities, his birth, his actions, Mahatmanaha, of the great soul, Nidhanancha, and his demise, his passing away, Nidhanancha. And there's a very important word, Jataivasid, exactly as it was. Now, why is this so important? Which is Yata Eva Asit. Asit means it was, and Yata means as, and Yata Eva exactly as it was. Why does Shonaka here emphasize, because I'm going to say, please tell us about these things, the demise, the passing away of this great intelligence person, Parikshit, exactly as it was, as it really was, because there is you could say, a false or illusory account of Parikshit's passing away in the Mahabharata, which is a corrupt text, as Madhvacharya said. So keep in mind that the Bhagavatam was composed after the Mahabharata. When Vyasadeva was lamenting chapter 4 of this first canto, his guru, Narada, came to him and said, what's the problem? And then, of course, he explained the problem, that you've not perfectly explained what really happened, because you kind of didn't want to, I guess, frighten people away with too much pure Krishna consciousness. So then Narada told him, no, just give the straight facts about Krishna consciousness, just direct preaching, not bridge preaching. Enough bridge preaching. Let's just do straight preaching now. And so therefore, because the Mahabharata gives a different version of Parikshit's passing, where he doesn't hear the Bhagavatam and he's kind of really afraid of dying, which is not what actually happened. And plus the Mahabharata we have today is a corrupted version of a Mahabharata that Narada wasn't satisfied with. So Narada wasn't satisfied with it, and then from there it became further corrupted. So therefore, Shonaka, knowing all this, emphasizes, we want to hear about the passing or the demise of Parikshit, Yatayavasi, as it really happened. Sapretya Gatavanjata, and how Pretya means pra-itya, passing away, or passing on, literally passing on. Gatavanjata, and how he went. In other words, that in the act of leaving this world, how did he actually do it? How did he leave this world? And of course, we're going to find out he did it by hearing the Bhagavatam. So the next verse is Taridam Shrotimi Chamo. So we want to hear that, or this is what we want to hear. Because tat means that, and dam means this, so this we want to hear. That's in Sanskrit how you say, that is what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Or actually, that's what we want to hear, because ichamo, because it means we want, Shrotum, to hear, because Shonaka is speaking on behalf of the community there. There's an assembly of advanced Vaishnava Brahmanas, and Shonaka is senior. He's speaking on their behalf, and therefore he says, Ichamo Shrotum. This is what we want to hear. So it's emphatic. Taridam. Gaditu Jadimanya, say, if you would consider to narrate it. Gaditum Jadimanya, say. So he is very polite. If you would agree to narrate it, this is what we want to hear. That's what it literally says. Bruhina. So speak to us. Bruhina. Speak to us. Shraddha Dhananam. Prabhupada translates it, who are very much respectful in the word for word in the translation, respectfully. So Shuddha Dhananam literally, in a very literal sense, means to us who are placing our trust in you. It's actually a present participle. So it's actually a verb form, present participle. So shud means trust and dha means placing. So shuddha dhanana means speak to us who are literally placing our trust in you. And so it's an action. We are placing our trust in you. And dasya jnana madat shuka. So speak to us. So here, this completes the sentence actually. Verses 2 and 3 are actually one sentence. So speak to us who are placing our trust in you about the person to whom Shuka gave knowledge. Jnanamadat Shuka. Shuka gave knowledge, yasya, to whom. That's the person we want to hear about, and we're placing our trust in your version of it, the Bhagavatam version of it. That's the one we are trusting. Very important verses. And then text 4, Sutta Vacha. Sutta said, Apipala Dharma Rajak Pitarvat Ranjayan Prajaha. So Sutta said that Dharma Rajak, Yudhisthira, so we're going back to Yudhisthira, Apipala, Prabhupada says, administered prosperity, administered generously, sort of protected. The verb pal, like Gopala, or anyway. So a people at Dharmaraja. Dharmaraja, Yudhisthira, king of Dharma, protected in the sense of also economically protected. Prajaha, the citizens, Pitarvat, he did it like a father, with the love of a father, Ranjayan, and pleasing them. And Niksprihat Sarvapakadmemyo, and he had transcended all desires, sarvakamevya, from all material desires. He had no wish for any material enjoyment. He had no wish for any material enjoyment. Krishna padanda sevaya, and he achieved this because he was always serving Krishna's feet. Sevaya means by service. Anu sevaya means by continuous service. So he was always serving Krishna's feet, and therefore he did not desire any form of selfish gratification, but rather like a father, he was pleasing the citizens and he protected them, Dharma Raja. So first, that's a high bar, that's the standard, Yudhisthira Maharaj. And then it said, Sampada Kratavoloka, Nishi Brataro Mahi, Jambu Dvipa Dipatyamcha Jashascha Tritivangatam. So, Dashascha Tritivangatam. So that means that his fame reached Tridivam, the heavenly planets, the three heavens. So Yudhisthira was so famous for his rule, for his purity, that his fame even reached the heavenly planets. But that fame and Sampadak, his opulences, all his great sacrifices, that was like a status symbol. If you could perform great sacrifices, it brought prosperity to your country, and you had to be a very expert, prosperous ruler to even carry out these sacrifices. So Kratava, his kratus, his sacrificial performances brought him great fame. Lokaha, he had earned many future planets. So Lokaha means worlds. He had accumulated worlds. That's how they talk in Sanskrit, that you get worlds, like you have so many worlds, which means that you've earned so many future high births. Mahishi, his beautiful queen, of course, Draupadi. Bhratra, his brothers. Mahi, his earth, the land. He ruled a huge kingdom. and Jambu Dvipadhipatyam, and he was the overlord of all this planet. And so he had fame, which reached all the heavens. But as we're going to see, that wasn't really what he cared about. I mean, he cared about it as a duty, but that's not what he really wanted. So King Te Kama, then verse 6, King Te Kama Sudasparha. So King Te means what? In other words, literally, what are those? What, what with these things? What are these things? Meaning like, who cares about this stuff? So this is the mind of Yudhisthira. King Te Kama, what with these, or what about these objects of sense gratification, which are Sudasparha, which even the demigods, even the gods aspire for. What is the use of these things? Mukunda Manaso. For someone whose mind is in Mukunda, for someone whose mind is in Krishna. Dvijaha, this is Shonaka addressing the twice born. Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha. Adijahrur. Mudang Rajna Kshudi Tasya Jatetere. How could these things have brought Adijahrur pleasure, Rajna, for the king? It's just like Kshudi Tasya, for a hungry person. Kshudita means hungry. For a hungry person, just as other things. If you're really hungry, and someone says, would you like a pack of incense? Do you want to watch this video? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want to take a walk? No, because you're really hungry. So just as someone who's aspiring for Krishna, who's hankering for the association of Krishna, all these other material enjoyments, they don't do it. They cannot actually please him. So Matur Garbhagato Vira Ksatadab. So we're setting the scene. This is Yudhisthira as a king. He's got this super reign going on. So Matur Garbhagato Vira Satada Brahunandana Dadarsha Purusham Kanchit Dayamano Stratejasa. So while this is going on, this is the scene. Yudhisthira is the king of the world. Well, he's the king of kings. And during his reign, Ashwatthama tries to destroy preaching in the womb. I mean, Ashwatthama was really, there's words, I won't say them now because they're not nice words, but nasty, just like really crazy. He wants to, wipe out the whole race of Pandavas, kill the last descendant. Bad person. So Matur Garbhagato Vira. So this hero, Parikshit, had gone or was in Matur Garbha, his mother's womb. This hero was in his mother's womb. Sa, he, tada, then, Bhrigunandana, O son of Virgu, addressing Sutta here, because it's in the singular, so he's not talking about all the sages, he's addressing Sutta. And so then he, Parikshit, in the womb of his mother, the Darsha, he saw Purusham Kanchit, he saw a certain person. That's what it says, very interesting. He saw a certain person. The Darsha Purusham Kanchit Dayamano, as he was being burned alive, Astratejasa, by the fiery power of the weapon. By the weapon's fire, he was actually being burned up. At that moment in the womb, he saw a certain person. Angusta Matra, this person was the measure. Matra means, metric, Matra. It was the measure of the thumb. He saw a person who was literally thumb measure. Angusta Matram, Amalang, free of all impurity. Amalang, Spurat Purata Malinam, and he was had a helmet, Molinam, where he had a helmet which was like shining gold. Spurat Purata literally means shining gold. Prabhupada says blazing, Spurat. So like shining or blazing gold, his helmet, and a Pivya Darshanam, it was beautiful to see. The sight of him, literally the sight, Darshanam. The sight of him was beautiful. Shamam, he was dark. Shama, Tadit, Vasasam, he was dark, but his clothes, Vasasam, were the color of lightning. His clothes were the color of lightning. And Achyutam, it was the infallible Lord Achyutam. This is a beautiful description of what Parikshit saw. And then Srimad Dirga Chatur, not Chaturbahum. He's very beautiful with four long arms. Tatta Kanchana Kundalam. His earrings were like molten gold. Kshata Jaksham, his eyes were literally like blood red. I mean, when we hear blood red, we talk about what are the bloodshot eyes in English. So, this is not when you have all these red streaks in your eyes because, you're exhausted or something's wrong with you. That's not what we're talking about. Kshata means an injury. Ja means born. So something is born of an injury. That means blood. It's a word for blood. Kshata ja, injury born. And Aksham, his eyes. So his eyes were this shiny, this bright, deep red color. Not the white part of his eyes, but the actual colored part of his eyes. Gada Panim, with a club in his hand, a mace in his hand. Atmanak Sarvato Disham Paribhramantam Ulkavam Brahmayantam Gadam Muhuk. So he was Paribhramantam, he was whirling around, so in all directions, Sarvato Disham. Let's see, Paribhramantam. He was actually Brahma, means like wandering. This is not the Brahma with the H, but this is Brahm, to wander. So he was kind of moving all around. He was moving all around Parikshit. It's very interesting. This is so I don't want to say Marvel Comics, not in the sense that it's fiction, but it's one of those amazing things. I mean, what a movie. So, because what Vishnu's doing in the womb, he's saving Parikshit, but he's kind of moving all around him and repairing his body, bringing his body back to life. He's thumb-sized. So the womb is small, but Vishnu's even smaller. This little thumb-sized Vishnu is just moving all around this embryo and repairing it, saving it, bringing it back to life in all directions. And he's Ulkavam, and he's swinging Brahmayantam. I mean, you have no Sanskrit to get how beautiful this composition is, but Brahm, Pari means around, like perimeter. So Pari Brahmanta means he was moving all around. He himself was moving all around Parikshit, and as he was doing this, he was swinging his club all around. He was making his club move all around. Brahmayantam Gadam, and his club, he was moving his club all around, was like a comet. It was like Prabhupada says, shooting star. Actually, let's go to the Sanskrit dictionary just for one moment. Ulka, which it's Abam, means shining like an ulka. So ulka is a fiery phenomenon in the sky, a meteor, like a fire falling from heaven. So like this shooting star, like this shooting meteor, his club is just moving all around, this fiery, glowing club. And this little literally thumb-sized Vishnu is moving all around Parikshit. So this is like, wow. I mean, you don't need Marvel movies if you can really see this. So, and he's so constantly moving his club. It's not just he moved at one time. It's just like he's moving all around Parikshit, and his club is swinging. It's just, and he's bringing him back to life in this amazing way. So we'll stop there, and let me take a look to see if anyone has any questions. Bhagavatam's really great, isn't it? So let's see. Thank you all for your favorable comment. If anyone did a bad comment, then we won't read it. So thank you all for watching. Let's see. I can see all your names actually. I mean, and I thank you all for watching. No questions. Hey, it's good. Take a break. There's no questions. So thank you all very much. Thank you for watching. And I really love those verses. I thought it was, I mean, I really love the Bhagavatam, and it was just, I thought it was ecstatic. Okay. Oh, there are questions. Okay. There always are questions, and I don't see them until I turn off the this time. So let's see. Okay, did Uttara die due to the weapon? No, Uttara did not die. She lived, and she takes part in many more pastimes in the Bhagavatam after this. Okay, so thank you all very much. Thank you for watching, and I'm glad we can share this together, and I hope we'll all be together again next week. Hare Krishna.